Hello, everybody. I know what you're thinking. Hey, Kyle, you promised to do an album review for us on Monday. And it's not Monday, and we didn't get it. Uh, yeah, I know. Um, long story short, some shit happened. Uh, don't really feel too comfortable going into all the details. But yeah, some shit happened. So I wasn't able to do a review for you guys. And you're thinking to yourself, well, you're filming a Stitch With Me video right now, just film it right now. And while that is an excellent point you're making, I'm not going to half-ass do an album review, especially for an album that well, it's my favorite album. I'm not going to do that because I want to give it my all to give a very thorough, well thought out review of Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. And to quote Ron Swanson from Parks and Recreation, don't half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. And so I'm gonna whole-ass the album review when I can. It will be out, I hope, unless more shit happens. I'll have it out by next Monday. So to make up for that, excuse me, I am doing a Stitch With Me, and I wrote a tag that I'm going to answer. And my plan is to have this out on... What day is it? My plan is to have this out on Tuesday, just in case I can't film another Stitch With Me video for Wednesday. So, if this comes out on Tuesday, I may or may not have another Stitch With Me video the next day. So yeah, not a whole lot of stories, just because, you know, my phone sucks, might run out of storage. But I wrote up a tag of 30 questions, separated into 3 different sections. We've got craft, music, and random. Now, I thought of all the questions, but that doesn't mean I really thought of answers for the questions. So, we'll see how it goes. I plan to write more of these tags in the future, but I figure, you know, I didn't give them an album review, I'll give them a tag to do. Why not? You know, why not? Well, and as you can see, I started my new Mirabilia. This is Athena. And she is done on 32 count Lugana in dusk by Picture This Plus. Yup. You know what, I can't do any more talking. I have to answer this tag, because I know y'all are just so excited to hear it. I'll put all the questions in the description box below in case other people want to do it. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. So let's get to it. So this is the craft portion of the tag, and the reason I use craft is because I know I have some viewers that like to do diamond painting, so if they want to answer this for a Paint With Me video, they sure as well can. Okay, number 1. When and why did you start your craft? I started cross-stitching about a year and a half ago, I think. It was September of 2016, so almost 2 years. I was very unemployed, and I was bored. And sure, I read all day, but I wasn't, you know, doing anything incredibly productive with my time. So I got to thinking, maybe I should do something crafty. And, well, I answered this in my last video. I had remembered that my mom had cross-stitched when I was younger. And I thought to myself, you know what, why not? If I like it, I like it. If I don't, no big deal. It was only a $5 kit. And hundreds of dollars spent later, here I am. So yeah, I did it to fill up my time because, my God, I was bored until I found my job. And now I don't want my job anymore. That's for a different time, though. That's a different story. What's your favorite thing about your craft? Number 2. What is your favorite thing about your craft? It's very relaxing. I can easily tune out the outside world for the most part, unless it's something I'm really stressed about. I do this to relieve my stress, and it's very calming. And I like how my friends like that I do this. That should be my favorite thing. I like having friends who are interested that I do this. And are interested in talking to me about it. I got a story for that for a different time. Maybe my next Stitch With Me video. We'll see. Number 3. What is your least favorite thing about your craft? There's way too much I want to fucking do. And I'm also spending way too much damn money. Right when I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I think I have gotten all I want for this as of right now, then I end up finding something I want. I thought I was done purchasing things, and then just had to watch McKenna's live stream, her Instagram live stream. She had shown And They Sinned, and I needed it. And yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Cost, and just not enough time. Not enough time in the day. What horror story do you have involving your craft? And I give the example of accidentally spilling coffee on your project. I haven't really had a horror story per se. However, it was a couple of months ago, and I lost my needle. You know? I'm looking everywhere for it. Could not find it. So I just borrowed the needle off of one of my other projects. Well, I will be damned if not 2 weeks later, I'm sitting in my chair in my bedroom, stitching away, and the sun just landed in the right spot, and I see something shining on my bed. It was the needle that I had lost. I had been sleeping on top of a needle for 2 weeks. How it did not pierce my skin at any point in time is a mystery to me. Yeah. Oh, and I also stepped on a needle, but everybody does that. Have you ever struggled... Okay, there's number 5. Have you ever struggled to finish a project? Why do you think you struggled? Well, considering I only have 3 or 4 finishes out of the last 2 years, it mostly comes down to that I get interested in other things. Now, there was one project that I have. It's called Kneeling Santa. It's a Jan Lin kit. And it's of Santa kneeling in front of baby Jesus. It's so cute. I love it. It was my favorite thing to stitch on for a while. Excuse me, I'm gonna burp. Okay, I feel better. It was my favorite thing to stitch on. I stitched on it forever. And then I got to the skin. And the way the stitches were, it was supposed to follow a light gradient. Well, I noticed that were having me put a darker stitch color in front of a lighter stitch color. And then after that darker color, there would be another lighter color. So I would have had dark stitches in between 2 light stitches, which didn't make sense if it was following a light gradient. So I wrote to them, and sure enough, whatever chart that I had must have been so out of date that they didn't even have it on file. The version of it, anyway, that I had. So yeah, they sent me some replacement floss, but I didn't pick it back up. It's still sitting in a drawer, because I just don't have the patience to want to unstitch all that work. So, I'll come back to it eventually, I'm sure, but I have to find the motivation to do it. Okay. Where is your favorite place to do your craft? Number 6. I love just doing it in my bed. Wink, wink. Because, I can stretch out and whatnot. But we do, where I'm living now, we've got this beautiful screened-in porch. And I've sat out there a couple of times to stitch already, and it's pretty nice. Crack open a beer and just sit out there. It's really relaxing. But my favorite place is my bed, just because, I don't have to haul everything downstairs to the porch. Number 7, do you remember how you felt when you completed your first project? Yes, I was incredibly excited. I was so excited. As I was getting nearer and nearer, I mean, it was a small little kit that I got, but, as I got nearer and nearer to the end, I got so excited, and then I finally put in that last stitch, and I was like, wow, I completed something. It took me like 3 months to do this, and it was only like 5 inches across by 6 inches high, and it wasn't full coverage on 14 count Ada. Still took me a while, but it's like, yes, I'm done. I was very excited. 8. Are there any subjects you gravitate towards? Now, if you've seen my stash parade video, I tend to buy a lot of religious patterns, but I am not religious in the slightest. I just find religious imagery just so beautiful. But, I don't... Other than that, I just really think... just religious imagery is just amazing. But, if you paid attention at any length of time, you'd see I've got a shit ton of Mirabilias now. So I'm gravitating towards those. But, hashtag Jesus. Number 9. What completed project would you most like to revisit in the future? And would you make any changes? If you watched my previous floss tube video, I've said that I want to revisit Rose of Sharon at some point in the future. But this time I want to do a color conversion. I loved stitching her so much. But then I was also seeing so many people who did color conversions of her dress, and they are just stunning. The dark Rose of Sharon, where they stitched her, the yellow part of her dress in black, and then the blue part of her dress in red, is just absolutely stunning. But I don't want to follow someone else's conversion. I want to make my own. If I can. We'll see. But it's going to be a long, long time before I ever feel like doing that. Okay, and then the 10th and final question of the craft portion of this tag. What is something about your craft you know now that you wish you knew when you first began? probably the loop start. Because the whole reason, and I had commented on one of Danielle's videos, I think it was one of her vlogs, it took me 3 hours before I made any progress on my very first project, because I couldn't figure out how to fucking start it. They said, hold it down and then make the stitches, or what. I struggled so hard to even do that. 3 hours. And I shit you not. But the loop start, great method. Okay. We're on to the second portion of the tag. And this is the music section. Oh, and I'm also sorry if I'm not giving as much detail to these questions as you might expect. It's because I'm also really afraid my phone's going to run out of storage, which might happen. I mean, if that happens, I'll do something about it, but just so you know. Okay, number 1 of the music section. What are your favorite bands or musicians, and rank them if possible? Now, musicians in general, I haven't really thought about enough to rank them, but bands, number 1 is Rush. Huge Rush fan, huge progressive rock fan. I fucking love Rush. I mean, they're Rush. That's all I can say. Number 2 is Heart. I've seen Heart twice in concert. Wait, I think... Okay, I've got questions that might pertain to this, so I'll save that. Number 3 is Fleetwood Mac, because duh. If you don't like Fleetwood Mac, then why are you here? Go away. Number 4 is Led Zeppelin. And now number 5, I usually say is Black Sabbath. But depending on my day and my mood, I might say Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I love Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I miss Tom Petty. I miss Tom Petty. Such a tragedy. Number 2. What is your favorite song? And what about it makes your favorite? My favorite song of all songs ever. I think I fucked up. Did I? I think I messed up here. I'll fix that later. Okay, it's an easy fix. I'll fix it. Don't worry, I'll fix it. Okay, my favorite song ever is Gypsy by Fleetwood Mac. Hands down, Gypsy by Fleetwood Mac. And the reason being, I love the message. I love the story behind the song. She wrote it for a friend who was dying of cancer. Stevie Nicks did. But my reasoning for why it's my favorite song recently has been because it reminds me of my grandma, who passed away about 2 years now, 2.5 years ago. The lyrics just make me think of my grandma all the time. I miss her so much. Number 3, what was the first album you bought with your own money? If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure I bought 2 albums at the same time. And it was AC/DC's Black Ice album that had just come out. And then also Heart's Red Velvet Car. That would have been 2010. If I'm remembering correctly. Stuff like that I tend not to remember. But I've always gone with that answer because I think that's the right one. Okay. Number 4. What has been your favorite concert you have attended? Hands down, it was March of 2015. Joan Jett and the Heartbreakers were opening for Heart. I love Joan Jett so much. And I had always wondered if she was ever going to do a tour with Heart. And all my prayers were answered. That concert was just so much fun. It was my second time ever seeing Heart, and my first time seeing Joan Jett and the Heartbreakers. I love the ladies. What can I say? They're some of my favorite musicians. What song, band, or genre of music would you consider your guilty pleasure? And I define guilty pleasure as, obviously something you like, but you don't really talk about too much. So if you answer this tag, you can answer one of the 3, whether it be the song, artist, or genre. I'm going to go with the artist and say the B-52s. I frickin' love the B-52s. Now, if you know me outside of YouTube, you probably thought I would have said Cher. Cher is not a guilty pleasure because I talk about her all the damn time because I love Cher. But I don't talk about how much I like the B-52s. There is no other band that has ever made any music like they do. If you can name one, please tell me, but I have never found another band that sounds like the B-52s. It's just sort of, they're one of those bands where you hear them and you're like, oh, yep, B-52s. Kate Pearson, though. God damn. Do I have a favorite B-52 song? Let's try to think. Girl from Ipanema Goes to Greenland. That's a great one. Or Cosmic Thing. I'm trying to avoid the obvious ones. Ooh, Private Idaho. That's a good one. But yeah, I was trying to avoid saying, Rock Lobster or Love Shack. One of those 2. Number 6. Have you ever missed an opportunity to see someone live that you desperately wanted to see? Yes, this has happened twice in my life. And both times were in the same year, and they just kind of crushed me. Okay, one of them was Fleetwood Mac, but, they're still touring. And the reason this next one is upsetting is because she's probably not going to tour ever again. I don't remember when it was that year. It was in the summer of 2014. Cyndi Lauper was opening for Cher in Des Moines. You talk about an amazing... What an amazing concert that would have been had I actually been able to go see it. A friend and I had been in talks to go to it. I was going to buy the tickets, and when we met up, she was going to give me the rest, or, her payment for the ticket. But the day before I was going to purchase the tickets, she said, hey, not going to be able to go to the Cher and Cyndi Lauper concert because my brother's getting married that weekend. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So yeah, I was crushed. And I didn't know who else would have wanted to go to a Cher and Cyndi Lauper concert with me. I'm sure you're all thinking to yourself, oh, I would have. I know you would have. But, I didn't know any of you. So yeah, missed opportunity, which is too bad because Cher's probably never going to tour again, and I don't know if I'm ever going to make it to Vegas to actually be able to see her perform. You never know. Ooh. Number 7, what music were you raised on growing up? Okay. I was raised on, from my dad, 80s hair metal, and then on my mom's side, 80s pop. That was basically it. 80s hair metal, 80s pop. Everyone that I listen to now, my parents really never listened to. My mom kind of listened to Heart sometimes, and my dad listened to Black Sabbath. He played them all the time in the garage while I was jamming out to them. But yeah, my dad never listened to Rush or Led Zeppelin, and they never listened to that stuff. Almost nothing that I listen to now, in the grand scheme of things, my parents never listened to. Let's see. 8. If you could bring back from the afterlife one musician, who would it be and why? I would bring back... I feel like the obvious answer is Michael Jackson or Freddie Mercury. I'm going to go with Jimi Hendrix. Not just because he's an amazing guitarist, but he died at 27. For him to be considered the greatest guitarist of all time at only 27 and having only 3 albums out by the time he died, can you imagine what else he would have... that's what I always think about. What else would they have had? What else would they have released had they not died? Yeah. Janis Joplin, Amy Winehouse, anyone who died at 27, from that 27 club. It's just a shame. And so if he was considered the greatest guitarist at such a young age, before he died, mind you, it makes you wonder what else he would have put out. Number 9, do you play any instruments? Are there any instruments you wish you could play? If you've seen, I think, my 4th video, maybe 5th video, I don't remember. I play bass and guitar, kind of. I'm not good at it, but I play them. And that's because, I grew up watching my dad play guitar and be in a band and all that stuff, and so I kind of wanted to be him like that in that respect. Is there any instruments I wish I could play? Yes. And, excuse me, I'm like burpy today. I apologize. And I'm going to come from left field here. I'm going to say the banjo. I admire the talent that you have to play the banjo. I mean, it's just crazy. I wish I could finger pick and play the banjo. Who knew Steve Martin was basically an expert at playing the banjo? Because I didn't until a couple of years ago. I just think the banjo is a really cool instrument. And this is coming from somebody who, is not the biggest fan of country. I guess I like bluegrass, though. But yeah, it's a really cool instrument. How would you describe... Okay, number 10. How would you describe your taste in music? And I hope nobody gets offended for me using this word. I would say bipolar. It is very bipolar. My music playlist, when I put it on random, it is very likely that a Cher song will be followed by a Slayer song, which will turn around and be followed by a Carpenter song. And I was at work one day and I was playing my music. I think it was System of a Down was playing. And when the Carpenters came on, right after that, he told me that he got worse whiplash hearing that change in music than he did when he was in a car accident about 10 years ago. I consider that a compliment. You're welcome, coworker. I guess a tamer word than bipolar would be eclectic, which I think I used to... how to describe myself in my Know Your Needle Worker tag video. I think. I might just be making that up. I might have used a different word. I probably did. Do you think I remember? No? But that was the last question of the music portion. And now we're going on to the last section of this tag, which is the random portion of this tag. A couple are serious questions. The rest are just goofy, because I'm goofy. And I wanted to throw a curveball at some people who decide to answer this tag. And it's even better if you don't look at the questions before answering this tag. But y'all probably will. So it's all good. Don't worry about it. Number 1. When you go to a bar, what's the first drink you get? A vodka cranberry. Hands down. Forever and for always. Although I have been lately getting a drink called the Red-Headed Slut. It is Jaeger, cranberry juice, and depending on who you go to, it could either be Malibu rum or peach schnapps that they mix in with it. I think the bar that I go to where I order those, they use Malibu rum, but I think the proper other liquor is peach schnapps. It sounds like an odd combo of drinks, or of liquids, alcohol, all that good stuff. It works well. It's really good. Kyle gets about 4 of those. 'Cause Kyle like anything with alcohol, to be honest. I'm not an alcoholic. I love Jesus. I just drink a little. What can I say? Number 2, who would you want to play you in a movie? But who do you think the casting director would ultimately choose? The person that if there was ever a movie based on my life, the only person I can think of that's like close to my age, if I'm thinking right now, the only person that I can think of that's close to my age, because I don't really watch movies anymore, it would be Josh Hutcherson. I don't know of any movies that he's been in recently, but he was in the Bridge to Terabithia movie almost a decade ago now. Jesus Christ, almost a decade ago. I am so old. I'm 24. But I'm old, okay? Let me mourn my youth for just a little longer. Don't judge me. Okay, sorry, I had a little midlife crisis right in front of you. But who would they ultimately choose? You know, knowing my luck, they would probably choose Steve Buscemi. Don't get me wrong, wonderful actor. Not exactly somebody who I imagine playing me. Number 3, what's the title of your autobiography? Now, this is the point where I didn't really think this one out through. Looking at my life, the title of my autobiography would probably be, well, shit happens. I think it's fitting, if you've known me for any length of time. Well, shit happens. I like the sound of that. Number 4, what is scarier? Being trapped in a room with 100 pissed off poodles, or being trapped with a leopard with no legs? I'm gonna say the 100 poodles. That shit poodles in general just scare me. Because they seem like they're so fancy, but they will not like you when you approach them. And that's what's deceiving about them. And if they're already pissed off, and there's 100 of them, I don't think so. That's no way, Jose. I'm saying no to that. And if you're wondering where I got that from, that was an Ellen DeGeneres joke from, I think, the mid-90s. Okay, number 5. You're in a horror film. Who would you be? The hero, the victim, or the killer? And why? Now, before you judge me on my answer, keep in mind I do not have any of these tendencies. I would probably be the killer just because I hate people. Never so much so where I would want to murder. But, when 99% of the people you meet are just fucking stupid and just piss you off when they say hi, you might be a killer if you were in a horror movie. And I've also wanted to be in a play where when I've been the bad guy, which has only happened once. I'm just so nice that it would be unexpected. It'd be a great turn of events. What was the... Number 6. What was the last movie that made you go, what the fuck? And now you can interpret how what the fuck is said. Is it in disgust? Are you confused? Are you surprised? How did you say it? Well, the last time I said what the fuck when watching a movie, and I had seen this movie already. This is just the most recent one I can think of because, I don't watch movies that often anymore. I was with some friends and we decided to watch Human Centipede. And if that whole movie doesn't make you go, what the fuck, in any tone, you might be a little insane. Number 7, where's your ideal vacation spot? My ideal vacation? Number 1, away from people. And 2, in Italy, on a lake house. In a lake house. On a lake house. Just by a body of water, in a house, where there's not other people. Because I don't know if you heard me answer 2 questions ago. I hate people. I love people individually. Hate people for the most part. Okay, and number 8. What is one food that everyone seems to like, but you can't stand? And this one is super easy for me to answer. Apples and grapes. I cannot stand eating apples and grapes. When I went on a diet and was exercising a couple of years ago, notice I said a couple of years ago, I tried to eat them as much as possible just because I wanted to be healthy. Nope. I just don't like the taste or the texture of apples or grapes. They have a very distinct taste and texture that no other fruit does. Okay, number 9. Keep forgetting to do that. What slogan or phrase do you think sums up your life? And this one, I'm quoting Shania Twain. It can only go up from here. It can only go up from here. And now you might think of that in a pessimistic way, but it could also be taken optimistic. Maybe I'm at a point where it can only go up. But in a pessimistic way, maybe I'm in a spot where it can only go up. It's just how you look at it. I'm not going to do that because I'm afraid I'm going to fuck that up. Okay. Sorry, I think I put in the wrong hole. Giggity. Okay, number 10. Now this is the big one. This is the question. Number 10. What is your rough estimate of how much wood a woodchuck could chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? And without hesitation, 17. And that's not my estimate. That is what it is. 17. And if you know why I say 17, leave a comment below of why I say 17. Some of you might get it if you watch TV. But it's 17. Alright, fellas and ladies, all of my stitchy people. That is the end of the tag. And now I have an optional portion here of tagging 3 people, which you don't have to do if you don't want to. That's why it's optional. So the 3 people I'm going to tag to do this are Danielle Stitcherista, Caroline Off the Grid Needle Arts, and Bendy Stitchy Michelle. Oh shit, come to think of it, Caroline's not going to see this video until sometime after she gets back from that island. I don't know. Okay, so that was the tag. I hope y'all enjoyed still. Okay, welcome back to a reoccurring segment where Kyle runs out of phone storage right before he wants to end a video, then has to quickly upload the video, delete the video off his phone, so that he can record an ending to the video. Because just stopping, kinda dumb. So, I'm not sure when my phone ran out of storage. I know it wasn't before I started tagging people, but it was sometime after I started tagging people. So, the 3 people I tagged, Danielle, Caroline, Michelle, lovely Michelle, I tag you to do this tag. I hope everybody enjoyed this tag. Once again, I apologize. Oh, maybe that's what I was doing. Maybe I was apologizing for not having an album review out, like I said I was going to. Life happens. And sometimes it's shitty. Sometimes it is straight up shitty. But I hope everybody enjoys. Like I said, if this goes up on Tuesday, may or may not. This might just take place, be in place of the Stitch With Me video that would go up on Wednesday. Because I know you guys were expecting a video on Monday. But I also don't want you to wait until Wednesday, so we'll see what happens. Okay, well, until I see you again, keep being amazing. Let those fucks fly. And say no to acid. Goodbye, everybody.